So guys, after news broke that these terror guys went to a secondary school and abducted some school girls, guess what? The vice president of Nigeria, Shettima, was spotted in Kogi State receiving defectors into the APC. People who are leaving their parties for the APC were being received. In the midst of Nigeria mourning, a brigadier general was captured and executed. Military men lost their lives. School children abducted. Their way is still unknown to Nigerians. And the vice president was seen receiving defectors. I'm just going to allow you to watch the short clip. Also, the governor of the state has come out to speak. You will know that he does not even have any clue on what next to do. When we elect analog leaders that don't know that with the current technologies we have in the world with AI, you can easily find where these girls are. But guess what? They don't have any idea of what to do now. Don't forget that a brigadier general was executed. The news broke yesterday. A brigadier general, a commander, was executed. He was, abducted by this, ambushed by ISWAP, and they executed him. They also killed some soldiers. A whole lot is happening in Nigeria, and Nigerians don't have anybody to talk to. Now, before I tweeted and said, "Find KB girls, President Tinubu," he also attached a tweet that Tinubu tweeted when Jonathan was in power, and he said, "Finding the abducted Chibok girls must engage all of our energy and resource. The tears of our parents must stop. The bleeding must end." It was Jonathan's time that he tweeted this. Now, in his own time, girls have been abducted. Tinubu is silent. The vice president is silent. The military is not even giving us updates. It's only the police that later tweeted yesterday saying they've sent some possibly police officers and the search is going on to find the girls. So, guys, a lot is happening in this country. Now, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at some of the clips I've got for you guys. Take your time, watch these videos just to know that we are in a total mess in this country. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.
APC! 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 Tinubu! 4+4! Oh, no, no! 4+4! Tinubu! 4+4! Oh, no, no! 4+4! Tinubu! 4+4! Oh, no, no! Tinubu! BGYV!
The unfortunate thing has already happened. They have abducted our children. We have come, we have seen things by ourselves. And we see the parents that their children were being abducted. And we give them confidence, we give them our words that we'll do everything possible to ensure that their children are being rescued. And we also assure them that let them have confidence in us. And we'll make sure that the security agencies will do everything possible to do the needful. That is the essence of our coming to MAGA, to see our people, and also to give them confidence and to give them words of encouragement.
The question, the point I want to make is the president needs a courage. You need to exert that courage. That he is the supreme commander. He's the commander-in-chief of the Nigeria Armed Forces. They are called armed forces not because they are negotiators.
Exactly.
Because if we want negotiators, then let's scrap the army and set up a negotiation team.
And we are spending every day. Over 12% of the current budget is for the security.
The military, Nigerian military, I know, are ready to do their job. But then there's the political component that have all other considerations. Ethnic, politics, and all sorts. They are bringing that on the table. And so the soldiers know what to do, but they are told not move. Going back to the question you asked, globally, when you have a national crisis like this, you have the military in the front. And that's what Trump is saying. Either you use your own military. Trump is not saying they are going to come and negotiate. They say they are going to come and use the American strong arm. So you better use it. Yes. So for me, I think that we should support the president across party line. Whether you are APC, PDP, or whatever, we must support this president. Whether we are Christian, Muslim, whatever, we must support this president to instruct this military to ensure that they take that step we need to deliver this country. Do you know why you are talking about negotiation or not? This insecurity thing is spreading. The last time we are aware of activities of terrorists, they've taken over most of Kwara State. They are in Ondo and Osun State, Edo North. Kogi State, we're in trouble. So we're not even talking about Zamfara now. We're not talking of northwest or northeast. We are talking about this thing creeping into the other part of the country. Lagos is not far away, or your state is not far away. And we are talking of negotiation. And what negotiation does is that instead of ensuring that you disrupt the operations of these criminals, you fertilize them. You give them enough room to recruit, to acquire more equipment and weapons, and spread to other part of the country. Whereas you are supposed to take every step to disrupt the activities and degrade them. In a situation where some group of people not only kill people, they have shot now at least 2 military aircrafts In Zamfara State, some years back, I can't put my finger on the actual year, they shot down these same people you call bandits. They shot down a fighter jet, a military fighter jet, during the government of Buhari. Under this government, in 2023, August, some bandits in the Kotagora area, that area in Niger State, yes, they ambushed specially trained. You know, there are some group of in the military that are special forces, right? They are specialty. Just you talk about Navy SEALs. Right. Nigeria had people that were trained as Rangers. They were ambushed and killed. About 22 of them or so. Wow. And when an aircraft was sent to go and evacuate their bodies, that aircraft was also shot down by bandits, and the bandits went straight to the aircraft and killed those who were surviving there. Right. And when that happened, the Niger State governor was levied with rage. He came to Abuja to ask for the military support to crush those forces. Thereafter, he went to the villa, and he came out of the villa and granted a press statement in which he was saying that we will not use force, we will negotiate. And 3 days after that, the vice president also came out and said, this kind of activities is not going to be done by kinetic, we'll use non-kinetic means. And by the way, what do you mean by non-kinetic means? Non-kinetic... After they shamed the entire nation. The entire nation, they killed your military forces, they desecrated them, and you are talking of negotiation. And they made a show of it. They made a show of it. So when you are saying to me whether Nigeria should use a force or non-kinetic, non-kinetic actually means agriculture, employment generation. That government provides social services, that government provides infrastructure, that government provides employment. Those are non-kinetic. Non-kinetic does not mean negotiation. And in a situation where you have a country where there are military, you have bandits coming for meetings, and in those meetings there are soldiers, there are police and all that, and bandits come with very sophisticated military equipment to come and negotiate. It's like rubbing to your face that your country is gone. So
is there also maybe a shared genocide going on? Because mind you, these terrorists are mostly Sunni Muslims. That is the reality, which nobody's eating at. And they're always killing the Shias. Okay. That is one aspect of it. Another aspect of the killings also is that you also have extremist Fulani jihadists killing indigenous Hausa settlers or Hausa indigents. So these things are several things are going on. Now, if somebody decides to say, okay, I am more concerned about the Christian genocide, what is wrong with that? If perhaps the Iranians were concerned about the Shia genocide, let them raise it up. But the question is there a Christian genocide going on? And there is no debate on that. So no. In fact, just yesterday, I saw I will not use harsh words on him, but he deserves the harshest words. The African Union chairperson, Yusuf, he went all the way to the United Nations and was talking nonsense about the Christian genocide going on in Nigeria, that there was no genocide. This is a character who, as chair of the AU, has not bothered to comment on the Darfur genocide, which has been on for more than 20 years. Has not bothered to talk about the issues going on in DRC Congo or in Tanzania, where a woman has just destroyed the opposition and named herself the president. He only talks when he feels his religion is at stake. So that is the kind of debate we're having. But as a reality, there is no debate. There is a Christian genocide going on. If over 50,000 Christians have been killed, and these are documented, it's not hearsay. When you hear 19,000 churches, they are known. The locations are known. It is preposterous when you have people like Adeboye of the RCCG suddenly saying he cannot make comments, when even his own church had suffered it. But he was able to make comments when Jonathan was in office and talk about a slight increase in fuel price. Or when you hear the idiocy in Adefarasi's comments, when he says it's only a few people have been killed. Look, we have to call a spade a spade. Because we are free here because your family has not been killed or mine has not been killed. But if they were killed, you wouldn't be here debating genocide or no genocide. It's very annoying.
Just learning, with officials of Kebbi State government confirming a terrorist attack on Maga Comprehensive Girls Secondary School, where an unspecified number of female students have been abducted. So the chief press secretary to Kebbi State Governor Ahmed Idris confirmed the attack, while also saying that the details are still somewhat ambiguous as of now. But here's what we know. The state deputy governor, Umar Tafida, has led a team of government officials to the scene of the crime, while sources report that a staff of the school was killed and some even sustained different injuries as the terrorists got into the school and shot sporadically. So we'll definitely follow that story, as we progress throughout the day. But as we talk about insecurity, we start what's trending today with the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV, publicly naming Nigeria as a country where Christians face frequent attacks. The Pope made these comments on his X profile, but he also addressed a crowd after the Angelus prayer yesterday overlooking St. Peter's Square. And that's where the Pope used his platform to voice his concern with Nigeria. So these comments come amid what's really become international scrutiny of Nigeria after US President Donald Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern over an alleged Christian genocide. He also threatened military intervention, as we know, but let's see what the Pope had to say.
Anche oggi in diverse parti del mondo I cristiani subiscono discriminazioni e persecuzioni. Penso in particolare a Bangladesh, Nigeria, Mozambico, Sudan e altri paesi, dai quali giungono spesso notizie di attacchi a comunità e luoghi di culto.
So those comments from the Pope came as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this weekend sent a peace emissary, Dr. Abiodun Essia, to Plateau State to, in the administration's words, bring a sense of calm and push for intercommunal harmony. The announcement came on a post on X from the special advisor to the President on Information, Bayo Onanuga, on Sunday, where he stated in part that Essia met with Christian clerics and Fulani Miyetti Allah community leaders. Delegates, traditional rulers, and more, all of them gathered to discuss ways to strengthen peace and promote the coexistence of diverse communities. She also paid a courtesy visit to Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo. This is someone who's been really outspoken about the killings in Plateau and other parts of the North Central. The pastor has repeatedly said that Christians are being terrorized and persecuted in northern Nigeria. And videos of Dachomo, like this latest one that you're seeing on your screens, or at burial sites of mass graves, have all gone viral on social media. So all of this is happening as different members of the Nigerian government, to this day, they're still repeatedly denying these U.S. allegations of a Christian genocide. But the U.S. House of Representatives is getting ready to hold open public hearings on President Trump's designation of Nigeria as a particular concern starting this Thursday. So, this story has somewhat taken on a new layer given the fact that we're hearing from the Pope on this as well. And Rufai, since you're sitting next to me, I'll start with you. If we take all of these stories along with that breaking news of these female students getting kidnapped, how should we be thinking about the Pope and just insecurity in Nigeria overall?
I just pray we're able to get the girls back, but it reminds me of Chibok. It reminds me of Dapchi. God knows where Leah Sharibu is. But you see, the painful thing is that those that advocated for Leah Sharibu are the ones with the talking points today against Christian genocide. You can see how people become hypocritical, and they use the plight of people for their own political benefits in this country. And may God visit them. May God visit their conscience and ask them questions. I think this move by the federal government is misplaced. And I say that. You are not showing any intention of solving the problem. You are sending your governmental aides to go and say there's no Christian genocide. And at the same time, you send somebody to Plateau to talk to Dachomo. Your governmental aide had a fallout with Piers Morgan. We are still waiting to see that interview. The world knows that there's Christian genocide in Nigeria. I've quoted Jim Shannon. There are many other reports. In fact, this Congress that is going to start its proceedings on Thursday, regards country particular, there was a Catholic priest that went there, I think about a year ago, that Oji played the video where he went to give evidence as regards what's happening. So you can see the massive level of insecurity, but the government is not ready. If they are ready, they will release the list of terrorist financiers. Dubai shared that list with us in the last administration. But you see, for the sake of politics, they will never. The likes of Shegumi keeps running around and saying all sorts, peeing on the graves of people that died. People keep getting kidnapped and killed, but the government thinks the way to go about it is propaganda. I'm happy that Fox News is now also beaming the light on Samuel Jackson's case. The man that in defense of himself killed a bandit or terrorist and he was taken to court. Blasphemy laws exist in Nigeria, and some governmental ministers are saying that, no, we respect religious freedom, but blasphemy laws exist in Nigeria. I'm happy that the Pope has said it. Till today, the other time when this happened, President Tinubu said, oh, he's going to get ambassadors. Maybe they're going to get this week, I don't know. So you can see that the government reaction, like they will always do, is to deflect. But deflection does not solve the problem. Look at an APC chieftain, Makiri, that was killed recently. All of those things show that the government is not ready to solve the problem. Annie, I'm sad to announce to you that many years after, we'll still be talking about this thing because government is not ready, and they've shown it.
And, to your point, speaking of security or insecurity, let's head over to Katsina State now, where shocking new footage appears to show a number of armed bandits on motorcycles and bicycles storming the Kankia local government area of the state. So in this video posted on Saturday, a group of bandits ride into an open area as gunshots can literally be heard firing into the air as no security presence is there to counter them or protect residents. Let's take a look at the video, then discuss it. seeing that video, as new photos were also released on social media as evidence of a peace deal struck between bandit groups and community stakeholders in that local government area, as well as 2 others. So in photos shared on Saturday on Dan Katsina's X page, his caption states that negotiations ended with a mutual commitment to stopping the attacks in the affected areas, which have brought some sense of hope for a more stable security environment, allegedly. But this peace deal has raised questions about what that peace deal might look like in neighboring local government areas, especially in Kano State. Interestingly, it's often believed that the de-escalation of violence in one area can have a ripple effect, pushing the violence instead onto another area in close proximity. And I'll come to you on this. I mean, that video, it's just the brazenness of the attack, how just, they're completely out in the open and no one's around to stop it.
So the stories we've taken this morning show clearly that we have a deep insecurity problem in Nigeria, and it's an inherited problem. It didn't start with this administration. The only challenge is that previous administrations have not been able to deal with it. Going back to the last story around how we even negotiate with bandits, that has been criticized heavily by, in different quarters. If you're talking about, you say, well, we negotiated with, or we gave amnesty to people like Niger Delta militants and all that. These people had an ideology. There was a cause for their violence. What is the ideology of the bandits? That they are criminals? Very soon we'll be negotiating with kidnappers and thieves. We'll be asking them to come to a round table to let us talk as to how we can appease them so that they don't steal our look at the brazenness of their attack and the fact that they have no respect for security operatives. So it's either one. The security operatives at this point can be accused of being in collusion with them, whereby they are aware or they are compromised, because there's no way that we have security apparatus in Nigeria and this brazen show in broad daylight is happening. So it's either one, we begin to interrogate whether or not the security operatives have been compromised. The second part of it is that we are just unable to, we don't have capacity for this. And that's why some Nigerians are saying, let the US come. Because if we've not been able to deal with this problem for so long, then maybe we need external help from people who have capacity to help us. But at the crux of it is the fact that we need to deal with this incessant insecurity that's plaguing across all Nigeria. And I want to speak about the Kebbi girls. It is sad that despite all the campaigns that have happened, we've talked about all the kidnappings that have happened in the past, and now when we're really talking insecurities on the front burner, it's almost a slap on the face of the government to see in the Northwest another case of kidnapping in a school. We've had the Safe School Initiative. What happened to that? We've had interventions following kidnappings. What happened to that? It means that the government is admitting through this incident that they are unable to tackle the situation. And that's one of the primary responsibilities of government, to ensure security of lives and property. Finally, on Christian genocide, I'll just say this one point, that with Dr. Lled going to Plateau State, I said it was a good move because we need to deal with this kinetically and non-kinetically, but it's also an admission that the government was too hasty in responding to the claims of Christian genocide without even an investigation first to speak to community leaders. So their reaction, first of all, knee-jerk was deny, say it's okay, then go back to say, okay, come together, let us talk to you and ask. Should that not have been done first before they went on to deny that it was happening in the first place?
Because based on ethnic affiliations, you just come up. So I describe what is happening in Nigeria today as, genocide to a particular, people. But whether it is based on religious or whatever, or on ethnic, tribal, whatever, that is one question to answer now. Now look at it. I will quote something from a pastor. I listened to him quite recently, about 2 days ago. He said, help me understand your perspective. God is not a Christian. If God is a Christian, who answers the prayers of the Muslims? If Christianity is the only way, heaven will be empty. He went for that to say, God is the father and the creator of those who founded religion. God is not religion and does not belong to any religion. That is a pastor I listened to. He was making this assertion. That drew my attention. And I asked myself, I said, well, this is another visa or perspective to what this particular whatever is. I want to chronicle this, how it happened. Whatever we call Christian genocide or genocide of the minority, tribes in Nigeria today. Let me start with the Constitution first of all. Your 1999 Constitution has created room or maybe division that can, accentuate genocide. If, for instance, the name of Christ Jesus is never mentioned in your Constitution, but the name of Muhammad is mentioned. 2, if, for instance, the name of your faith, Christianity, is never mentioned in your Constitution, but the name Islam is mentioned in your Constitution. 3, if, for instance, you now found out that there is no canon law operating in Nigeria that will say that all Christians or those who are Christians, who take Christianity as their religion, should practice canon law when it suits and fits them. But you have Sharia. I don't know if you understand. Sharia is an Islamic code, whether we like it or not. Whether we like it or not, Sharia is an Islamic code. To the extent that your constitution says that the House of Assembly of the state that want to practice Sharia can even make laws that will guide how Sharia should be operated.
Okay, but
now you look at it,
in all these things that you have mentioned about the constitution, can you tell us how this supports the killings of Christians or the killings of Nigerians?
The feeling of entitlement to power, the feeling of entitlement of religious superiority. That is the reason why you see Kano State has a group called his bar. It's an Islamic police. They implement, enforce, execute Sharia laws that say you cannot drink alcohol in a municipal, a city like Kano State. I am from the South. I'm a Christian. I drink alcohol maybe a bottle or two a day, and I find myself in Kano. But for me to go buy it with my money, I have to go and hide and drink it. Because if I'm found with a bottle of alcohol on the street of Kano, the Hizbah will do what? Arrest me. If I also run a shop, because we don't forbid alcohol from where I come from. My religion does not say, don't drink. Take in moderation. And I want to open a place in Kano or Kaduna or Sokoto to run a liquor shop. I've obtained my license. And I want to operate it. The Hizbah will come and close it down and say, you cannot do this. Is that not entitlement of religious superiority?
I understand your point. I'd like for us to reduce this discussion, to the point of genocide, killing.
That is what I'm saying.
So is it this people? Okay, this quote now.
Yes.
Give a certain group of people
energize them. Otherwise, why should Boko Haram say they want to Islamize Nigeria? If there's no foundation for them to do that, how can a Muslim get up from the north and say yes, he wants to Islamize Nigeria? That he will form a group of bandits, terrorists, to come to a nation that is called secular state. I believe to say that he wants to Islamize Nigeria. Islam. That is their mission. Okay. If not because the constitution gives them the vent, zest, and zeal for them to operate, they will not have solved. Have you seen Christians, taking up arms to say they want to Christianize Nigeria? These are questions we have to ask ourselves.
Let's get the view of someone who practices Islam. Mr. Ibrahim Momo, good morning to you. Welcome to the conversation this morning. Now, do you think the issue of some religion or one religion thinking it is superior to another was or has been propelled by the kind of our constitution or the constitution we practice? Is that the bane of our problem in this country? We don't hear such things of genocidal or anybody trying to take over Saudi Arabia. We don't. I mean, there are a few Christians living there, but we don't hear that. Oh, they're trying to impose themselves. Do you think our problem is this issue is constitutionally driven, and what can be done differently?
Okay, good morning, and thank you very much for having me. The first point I'd like to make has to do with the fact that it appears that there is a high level of disinformation, calculated, coordinated, disinformation at play in what you have heard, being said, including what you have heard right there in the studio. And it's not a statement of ignorance, it is calculated. The disinformation campaign is a calculated one. I don't agree that it is ignorance as in display, because when you hear educated people talk, sometimes it shows, intent.
Do you disagree? What is your position?
Let me make the point. Why do I say that? It's because when you ask the question around, if it's a matter of religious superiority that the Constitution confers, and it's allowing, if you may, or enabling the criminality that is ongoing. What is the duty of government? What is the business of government? Essentially, it's about the protection of lives and security of life and property of the citizenry. That is the basic duty of government. Now, what people have now called, in my opinion, firstly, a Christian genocide, is to amplify the security challenges that Nigeria have been facing. And I applaud Trump for it. But to now make the false claim that it's a Christian genocide, and when you allow a lie to slide for too long, it can be taken as fact, unchallenged, can be taken as fact. We know, we are Nigerians, we live in this country, even the bigots, those who are religious extremists from both the Muslim and the Christian faith, those bigots, those are the bigots who take things to the extremes, also know that this is not religiously based, even though Christians know, Muslims know. Because the majority of the victims, the hotbed where this criminality is going on is Muslim-dominated areas. The majority of the victims are Muslims. But the religion is, for me, I think religion is not even the issue. The fact that government stands as camps and people, Nigerians, full-fledged Nigerian citizens with rights have been killed on a daily basis, and the government is aloof, is unable to act over the years. It's something that we should deplore. All Nigerians, all men of culture should deplore. What is the purpose of government if you cannot secure the life and property of the people? What is the purpose of government? But now we have a common security challenge. But people are now trying to mine it for some primordial sentimentalism, for some, Islamophobic or, primordial interest, or even pecuniary. Some of them are doing it for money purpose. It's what I find very disturbing. We have a common challenge. Let's work together to resolve it. Let's call out the government when they fail to protect our party. That is the challenge we are facing, and I think that's how I think we ought to work around it.
Thank you.
Well, let's bring it back to the studio now. Barrister Asim,
yes.
You want to? Well, before we take your reaction to his statement. We have Mr. Eze Luche Esquire with us in the building. Good to have you guys.
Thank you very much for the invite.
All right then.
I want to say, with due respect to my brother over there, the lecturer, that I stand by my own take.
Okay.
That the Constitution empowers these incursions that we have. People, whether they are criminals or whatever you call them, just for instance, is well known the reason why you have that. Two is this. Let me draw his attention to a particular issue that happened in Oyo State. 11 January of this year, because of the empowerment given to some of these people by the Constitution, the Supreme Council for Sharia proposed, the bringing Sharia to be a system of legislation in Oyo State. They were supposed to launch that particular, on the 11th of January 2025 this year. If not because the Constitution gave them that vent, do you think that they will have that amenity?
What specifically does the Constitution
Section 277.
Section
277.
275.
275, even 262. You have all these sections there. If you go to 260, you see the creation of Sharia Court of Appeal. Now, if these people see this happen, then they believe that if the Constitution can give such to a religious, group, they believe that they have that particular, powers for them to now rub shroud over the rest of people of Christian faith, as case may be. I am not preaching that to say that what has happened is because they are going against, but the Constitution gives them the power to do that. If the Constitution, for instance, can mention 95 times the issue of Sharia, and there is no place, zero place in the Constitution where the issue of canon law was not mentioned, how be it? Even President Buhari in 2014, when he was interviewed, you know what he said? People can still go back and fact check me. He said that the issue of Sharia has come to stay because the Constitution gives the Muslims the powers to practice Sharia in Nigeria, and that God willing, that is what is going to happen until it is reversed by the Constitution. That is Lled Buhari taking care of this. People have argued, like myself, to say that you cannot have, that section 277 that talks about Sharia creation TC, where you have section 10 of the 1999 Constitution saying that Nigeria is a secular state, as the case may be. Otherwise, if not because the powers given to them by this Constitution, why do you have the Hizbah in Sokoto, in Kaduna, in Kano, that will destroy truckloads of alcohol based on the fact that Islam or whatever forbid it in a state where you say it's a secular state? I was discussing one of my Muslim brothers. He said that under section 38, he has the right to a religion of his state. That the same Constitution grants him the right under section 38 to belong to the religion of his choice.
Barrister Adams.
You understand the point?
Yes.
So it's something that bothers me.
All right, Barrister
And
Adams.
until this particular area is, maybe amended, it will continue to energize.
Okay,
this is
I want to ask you a question. We understand all, that you have said about the Constitution giving vent,
That's right.
some kind of push to
energizing them.
I'll ask you now. Hizbah, people that implement Sharia and Hizbah, they don't do it under a war situation, right? Is there any part of the Constitution that says that the government shouldn't fight terrorists, who, by the way, coincidentally happen to be Muslims?
There is no section 14 or 2B is very clear. It is very clear by the wordings and couching of that particular section. That says that security and welfare. He never said welfare and security. He mentioned security first. That is the reason why you are in government. So if you are a governor, local government chairman, president, if you are sworn in today, the main thing you have to do is to fight security first of all. Make sure the security of lives and properties and jobs, etc. Then you now go to welfare. Now, if you abdicate any of the responsibility and you are arrogant, you are didimusan, and at the same time you are ambivalent about implementation and execution and providing security for lost Nigerians, then you have no basis to be there.
Okay,
because it means that you can be impeached based on that particular, generation of
I'm trying to find a fine line.
I don't know.
I'm trying to find a fine line between the constitution pushing the jihadists because of the letters, like you said, 95 times it mentioned the Sharia.
That's right,
and
you
all of
can
that.
protect it.
Okay, and you believe that alone, that is one of the
Energizes them.
energizes them. So I'm trying to find a fine line between what the constitution has said and what the constitution also says about protection of lives and property of Nigerians. Let's bring in Barrister Eze Eluche into this conversation. Good morning once again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Barrister Eze Eluche is a lawyer as well as political affairs analyst. Now, this debate has raged, for like 10 days or more. Nigeria redesignated as country of particular concern, CPC, by the Trump administration on the basis of what? That, look, there's Christian genocide in Nigeria. A lot of people have weighed in. Barrister, first of all, do you agree with Trump that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria? Let me start. Let that be a take off point.
Well, thank you very much. For some of us, Nigeria, for patriotic Nigerians, Nigeria has been a country of particular concern for more than 10 years. Nigeria has been a country of particular concern to Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians, for more than 10 years. So that Trump is just declaring it as such on even only one aspect of life, which is religious freedoms. For us, Nigeria is a country of particular concern in the area of security, in the area of education, in the area of governance, generally. It has been a concern to us. So what Trump just did was to only address one area of it. And with regards to whether genocide is there's a Christian genocide ongoing, people think the word genocide it's not a word you bandy about. It's rooted in international law. The Genocide Convention and the Rome Statute. Article 2 of the Genocide Convention and Article 6 of the Rome Statute clearly postulates that there are 5 actions that need happen. And when any of these 5 actions happen, any of them, and it is geared towards either the full or total destruction of the people, it's a genocide. But for our own sake, we will only be concerned with the 3 of these actions, which when any of them happens, there's a genocide in place. One is if there is killing of that people, targeted killings. Secondly, if they are made to suffer bodily or mental harm. And thirdly, if there are deliberate policies in place to dehumanize them. Now you ask yourself, are Christians being targeted, killed specifically in parts of Nigeria? Unequivocally, the answer is yes. Are Christians being made in some areas to suffer bodily and mental torture? The answer is yes. And mind you, the Genocide Convention is that any of this taking place.
Okay, you mean the Geneva Convention?
No, the Genocide Convention
of
1948 and the Rome Statute of 1998. So they are very, very clear. So technically speaking, there is Christian genocide going on in Nigeria. Now, but realistically speaking, do we see this genocide going on? When you see 300 people being buried in one day, killed by extremist Islamist jihadist terrorists, who go for them and kill them and destroy their churches, and not only pursue the remnants away, but also take over that land. That is genocide. So the argument whether it's taking place or not taking place is foolish.
So we agree that killings are taking place, but the argument is that it shouldn't have the tag Christian.
Yes.
Because some Muslims have been killed. Mosques have been burnt down as well.
Yes.
So the fact that Muslims are being killed alongside some of these Christians.
Yes.
Should we remove the Christian
thank you for that question. We concern ourselves with the issues at stake. Is there also maybe a Shia genocide going on? Because mind you, these terrorists are mostly Sunni Muslims. That is the reality, which nobody's eating at. And they're always killing the Shias.
Okay.
That is one aspect of it. Another aspect of the killings also is that you also have extremist Fulani jihadists killing indigenous Hausa settlers or Hausa indigens. So these things are several killings are going on. Now, if somebody decides to say, okay, I am more concerned about the Christian genocide, what is wrong with that? If perhaps the Iranians were concerned about the Shia genocide, let them raise it up. But the question is there a Christian genocide going on? And there is no debate on that. So now, in fact, just yesterday, I saw I will not use harsh words on him, but he deserves the harshest words. The African Union chairperson, Yusuf, he went all the way to the United Nations and was talking nonsense about the Christian genocide going on in Nigeria, that there was no genocide. This is a character who, as chair of the AU, has not bothered to comment on the Darfur genocide, which has been on for more than 20 years. Has not bothered to talk about the issues going on in DRC Congo or in Tanzania, where a woman has just destroyed the opposition and named herself the president. He only talks when he feels his religion is at stake. So that is the kind of debate we're having. But as a reality, there is no debate. There is a Christian genocide going on. If over 50,000 Christians have been killed, and these are documented, it's not hearsay. When you hear 19,000 churches, they are known. The locations are known. It is preposterous when you have people like Adeboye of the RCCG suddenly saying he cannot make comments, when even his own church has suffered it. But he was able to make comments when Jonathan was in office and talk about a slight increase in fuel price. Or when you hear the idiocy in Adefaras's comments, when he says it's only a few people have been killed. Look, we have to call a spade. Because we are free here because your family has not been killed or mine has not been killed. But if they were killed, you wouldn't be here debating genocide or no genocide.
But
it's very annoying.
I was coming to that. Do we see a mix of politics in all of this?
Yes.
Because there's been this pushback, by the federal government.
Yes.
So that went to the United States, appeared in Piers Morgan's show and said, look, there is no Christian genocide.
Yes.
But curiously, we also have Christians in the South here who are vehemently defending that there is no Christian genocide.
Yes.
Even people whose churches, have been affected.
Yes.
Do we see a mix of politics, ethnic politics in all of these defenses? Is there anyone that you see?
During the Holocaust against the Jews in Germany, there were some Israelis, there were some Jews who worked with the Nazis for some kind of pecuniary benefits to even perpetuate the genocide or the Holocaust that was going on. So when you hear these characters who come out and say there's no genocide because maybe they want to have some largesse from government or whatever, Kenyamu said because he's a Christian and he was made a minister, then there's no genocide. What kind of crap is that? Or that the president's son distributed 1 million Bibles, so there's no genocide. For goodness sake, there are Bibles in the hotel rooms, and we know what goes on in the hotel rooms. So the reality, we don't debate. I've just explained to you rationally what genocide means and what in reality we are experiencing in Nigeria. So with regards to what the foreign minister went to do in New York and his interview with Piers Morgan, it's expected. This is reactionary. The government will try and do all sorts. But we have a president, Bola Tinubu, who never bothered. When 50 are killed, 100 are killed, he travels abroad. His only visit to Lled was when the Pope raised the issue in a homily. That's when Tinubu went. And what did he say when he went there? Try and make peace with your killers.
Now that you've said something about this whole permutation having a political backing, what does this portend for Nigerians, especially people that are within these axes where the killings are going on? The people of Kaduna State, the other day we learned that a pastor was kidnapped along 11 others, 4 were killed. In Benue State, they're still killing. In Plateau, we've not really heard much of the killing at this time, but we know that, something like that is still going on. What does this portend for Nigeria? And moving forward, with the way the tension is already high, Christians are defending themselves, Muslims are saying we are not doing any superiority part, even when we have the constitution more like empowering some people emboldened them with their action and attitude. What does this portend moving forward for Nigeria?
Well, real Nigerians will not look at these political divides because if you are in Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, all those areas, or even part of Enugu State, you are being killed. So you only have to raise your voice, let the world know what's going on, and the world knows. Even the world is aware of these reactionary moves. They know how the Nigerian government operates. They know that money is going around. They know that they're paying lobbyists in millions of dollars to try to launder Nigerian image. But the reality is the reality. People are still being killed till tomorrow. And the Islamists, you see, when government does these things, the world is watching. Because when you go and you massacre an entire village, and that village, you now pack the people who are remaining, say they're going to be in IDP camps, and their killers are seen taking over their land, and you come out and say there's no genocide. If we decide to be dons in this country, the world is not stupid.
Now let's take a peek on the issue going on. You made mention of people being massacred and the people that killed and moving around.
Yes.
And Nigeria decided to embrace the non-kinetic approach to make sure that terrorists would de-radicalize them, rehabilitate them, reintegrate them back into the society. The other day, Kaduna State also made a statement on how they are going to bring in free education and medical health care for them. There was also a talk about, further embracing of these people that have killed people before, and they say they are not terrorists in quotes. Now, how do you think this will help to shape the idea and ideology of those whose family members were killed by these men, and then they are still seeing them moving freely, enjoying what them are not enjoying, the free education and free medical health care?
Thank you very much. I think Nigeria is, we present ourselves as a joke to the international community. This phrase, non-kinetic, is simply dense. We don't need it. We need action. We need the outcomes. It's like when the government threw out the issue of palliatives or the issue of IMF conditionalities. Then everybody runs to the street shouting conditionalities, conditionalities. Let's don't know what it means. That is how every soldier now comes out, or every governor says non-kinetic, non-kinetic. Ask them, what does it mean? Because what people want to see is the result. And when you have a government that embarks on this senile approach that they call de-radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration, come on. The fight against terrorism is not new. It's not novel. You don't reinvent the wheel. It's the same terrorists that Americans are fighting, that those who bombed those who participated in the 9/11 are still detained till tomorrow. But Nigeria is now rehabilitating and reintegrating the terrorists who killed. And what do? When they come back, you house them, you equip them, you give them more money. They look fresher than our soldiers who are sacrificing their lives. And you expect these soldiers to go in and give their all? Or when the government now comes and says, okay, we're going to give you free education, free health services, this leads many of us to believe that these characters in government are in collaboration, or they collude, or they are complicit with genocide. Because you can't tell me that you are giving a killer of your own people. You are giving them free education for what? You are rewarding evil. So those characters in government, whether they are governors or whatsoever, who indulge in this kind of criminal behavior, I believe that at the appropriate time, when there is need to bring all these characters before an international tribunal, you will discover that under the Genocide Convention, these characters qualify as people that should be tried.
No, I asked this question earlier to Comrade Ibrahim Momo. Let's get your opinion on this.
Yes.
Should we have a problem with US coming in to help us take out the extremist jihadists operating, killing people? Now we say there is not only Christians that are being killed, Muslims too have been killed. Should we have a problem, with the United States coming in to say want to help kill out or take out or exterminate this people?
Thank you very much. In international law,
So guys, there have been a lot of updates as regards to what's happening in Nigeria, especially in the area of insecurity. Zamfara experienced killings, Southern Kaduna experienced killings, and also abduction of a reverend father and some residents. Then in Borno State, a brigadier general was executed, and also some soldiers lost their lives in that incident. Then moving to Taraba, terrorists invaded a community there. 5 people used machetes to butcher them. This one is not even gone. Used machete and splitted them in halves. And we have a situation where they are busy granting terrorists, granting them amnesty. Can you imagine? Granting them amnesty. So the Fulanis have overrun the northern part of Nigeria. And if measures are not being taken, they are going to conquer even the south. Because from what we are seeing now, it means they are in charge. The government has lost doesn't know anything to do. They are now resorting to amnesty, peace deal. They should go and arrest Sheikh Ahmad Gumi. He knows where the terrorists are hiding. We have spoken with the bandits, and they say they are ready to surrender their arms as long as they receive the same treatment as other Nigerians. Sheikh Gumi is saying this. Nigerians are now saying, go and meet Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi knows where the terrorists are. This one here says, the festering terrorist attacks in the north and other parts of Nigeria, the kidnap and massacre of innocent citizens, is a concrete proof that Nigeria has no government. Nigeria has no government. The same thing Tinubu said during the time of Jonathan. It says that the fostering Boko Haram attacks on the northeast and massacre of innocent citizens is concrete proof that Nigeria has no government. Under Tinubu, Nigeria has no government. So Tinubu has been dragged, especially the silence. A brigadier general cried, the government is silent. Hey, I bet many people, Nigerians, don't know that the word zoo has more than 3 different meanings, and Nigerian situation since 2015 is widely described in one of the meanings. God, can you imagine? These are terrorists, instead of them. These are Fulanis who were told that they brought them during election, but could not manage them, and they refused to leave. They refused to leave. Look at them. They refused to leave. Nigeria is in hot soup. So, guys, it's really in hot soup. This person say that's the place. That place on the line is to tell you that the government is the sponsor of the Boko Haram sucking terrorists. Before the bomb blast, they used to be military checkpoints before, you enter inside Wusasa. The bomb blast happened on Sunday, but we stopped seeing the military men from there. I don't know. So this person here made a tweet, which I'm not going to be reading. So guys, this has a whole lot to say about the situation of Nigeria currently. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. What do you think Nigerians should be doing now? Should people be canvassing for the North should go its way, the South should go its way? Since they embrace Islam, the South doesn't want Islam. Everybody should just be on his own. So you wonder why Nnamdi Kanu is being held. Is it now clear? They want to keep him because if he's out, he's going to be voicing, and then it will be difficult to Islamize Nigeria if Nnamdi Kanu is free. So they decided to hound on him, lock him up so that his voice will be shut up. And you see the agenda is spreading. Kwara is not far from Lagos. Lagos is not far from other southern parts of Nigeria. Nigeria is almost falling for terrorism. You know, Nigeria is almost being captured by these terror guys. The government is silent. They can just walk into a school, pick people and leave. And the government does not even know what to do. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.